Why is it when I'm talking to a CPA, they always say it depends? Well, today we're going to go over 3 tips on how to talk to a CPA better here. I'm the operations partner with Cornerstone CPA, and my partner's a CPA, and it is my job to help translate accountanese and all this fun stuff into something applicable and understandable for you. So let's dive right in here. So, the big why do CPAs say it depends? Well, I have some documents here because the tax code is a document that the CPAs have to interpret here. We have the Bible. Most people are familiar with the Bible, about 1,200 pages, give or take. Then we have the U.S. Tax Code, which is just the code itself, which is over 6,000 pages, so about 6 times as large. We got this fun little graph here. And then we have the IRS cases and regulations, which is basically all the IRS court cases. So when the tax code gets tested, like are haircuts deductible for business owners, then the court, the IRS, does an actual court case about it, and then there are court case rulings, and that's how we get the 70,000 pages and growing all the time. But different topic, but that really is the explanation or the true understanding of the tax code for the tax preparer on that. Not what we're getting into right now. Long story short, why it says it depends is because the tax code is there to motivate humans to do certain things and to benefit certain humans and certain special interest groups. Like it's a motivational tool. And so why it says it depends is because every person is unique. And so the answer really depends on a lot of things. We're going to dive into 3 things we can do to help with it depends. The first one, make sure you have all your documents ahead of time. We oftentimes need prior year tax return, income and expenses, any sort of documents that are going to be related to the question that you're having. If you're having a question about a rental property, please make sure that you know potentially what you bought the rental property for, what you put as the down payment, what are some other expenses that you've had on the rental property. If you are just about your taxes, we obviously need your tax return. If you are about retirement questions, a lot of people have those. We will need to know, like, okay, what is your current retirement situation? How much have you put in? What is your basis into your Roth IRA or into your traditional IRA? Making sure we have the documents to give a clear answer is super important because we get asked a lot with no context. What am I going to owe on my taxes? And there's no way in the world for us to know that without the actual numbers. Because believe it or not, all of the actual tax code tells us based on the numbers of your income and expenses, investment records, receipts, all that sort of stuff, how much you might potentially owe. And that's a relatively simple question. We do an estimate on that one. This is a huge one here. To clarify, big key part here, what are your goals with how you want this to look? Like, because if you think about it as a map, and all those documents in step 1 is kind of getting the first X on the map. But where you want to go depends on what X you're aiming for. And we don't know which one it is. It could be, here's the thing, it could be like just a super simple example. It could be to pay the least amount of taxes possible. You might say, yeah, everyone wants that. Duh, everyone wants that. Not necessarily. We talked to a handful of people last year who wanted to show more income so that then they could get a loan. So conversations with the lender to then be able to see how much income they need to show or what would be a good number, and then, go from there. We had to be a little bit loose on that, but because that's the situation that happens. So, knowing your destination, what you want in your goal, very, very important. A big key piece with this too is to not give, like, sometimes people give way too much they ask a super granular question that they researched on, and then we'll answer that question, but it doesn't actually reach their goal because we don't get the goal, and we really, really need the goal of what are you looking for? Hey, and this we're going to get into step 3. Hey, and then also that taxes are not a one-time event. Tell your CPA about any potential changes or goals in your financial situation over the next several years. Very important for this one too. And this is a kind of an extension of the last one. But having clarity of where you're looking to go in the future because we have people come to us, and for the past several years they've been all trying to pay the least amount of taxes possible, which makes sense. But now they're in a situation to where all their income is kind of stacked into one year. And because of our tax system, it's progressive. So the higher income you go, on those higher dollars, you pay a higher percentage of tax. So for them, it would have been probably better if over the past 4 years they paid $200,000 a year in their, or not paid, they showed $200,000 a year for the past 4 years of income, versus now this year they're showing like $800,000. And yes, we did talk to them about tax planning stuff, and they were in a situation to not do many big hitters on that, unfortunately. But having any changes coming up are going to be really important for your situation, because there are carve outs for everything, for nearly everything in the tax code for certain places there. So make sure you not only let us know your goals, but make sure that you communicate the future changes that you think you're going to be having. Hey, in 3 years we're looking to have kids. Hey, in X amount of time we're looking to buy a house. You know, we're looking at buying a business. What should we be looking for up until that point? So all those sort of pieces will really help kind of paint the full picture, so we know not only where you're starting, where you want to go right now from this one conversation, but where you want to go in the future. And kind of so that we could help, you know, because then we might suggest maybe going down here versus going right through all the X's. We might suggest something else based on the long-term goal, because there's a lot to know. Again, the tax code being over 6,000 pages just by itself, there's a lot to know and a lot of different details in the tax code that we might suggest different things depending on your situation. So it depends isn't a bad thing. It can be frustrating and it can be annoying, but if you help by giving your CPA the context of where you are, what is the goal for where you want to go right now, and then where do you want to go in the future, it'll dramatically help all those answers, and should really reduce the amount of "it depends." Now, you're going to need the documents for this. Most of the time this is not a 5-minute conversation. This is a much deeper conversation, but it depends isn't necessarily a bad thing. Again, a few takeaways here. You know, we're looking at a lot of different tax code stuff and a lot of different case law, but by preparing your documents, defining your goals, and communicating your upcoming life changes, it should really help us give a lot clearer answer in the future and give you more actionable advice. My name is Tim with Cornerstone CPA. I'm the operations partner. We do bookkeeping, tax, and tax planning. If you'd potentially like to reach out to us, please do. Have a good day. Bye.